Salutations, my name is Summer and this is Cozy Reading with Quaker Cats. Please excuse the mess, I'm organizing books. I wanted to do my 20 favorite books, and this was, I don't know if we put tag on the back of it, but Scott and Becky over at the Bookish Bryants, they did this video the other day, so it was like their idea. And then I watched Scott Danielson's video this morning, so I will link those down below. Okay, so this was really difficult. I'm sure all you book lovers feel the same way about picking out your top 20 favorites. Also, I was surprised that some of them have changed. Douglas Adams is no longer, at least at the moment, on my top 20, which if you would have asked me last year or the past 10 years, I would have said, yes, he's on my top 20. But he got pushed off, and so did Larry McMurtry, and so did Charles Frazier. So, all right, I'll share these with you. And I do have them kind of in order. So, number one will be, and I will forget what number I'm on, so I'm just going to go through them. But I'm pretty sure there's 20 books here. 4. Wait, I might have 19. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, 20. So the first one I want to talk about is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I finally finished this, and I thought it was genius. I haven't talked about it yet. It's all still marinating. I love the way that he did this up. I love the characters. I love at the last 100, 150, 200 pages, he is talking to you. And he's asking you questions like, why are people put in power that are evil? Why do people follow them? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this relates today. So War and Peace. I don't know if next year, I want to do this every year. And I don't know if next year, if it's all the same books, I won't do this next year. But I'm curious if War and Peace will make it next year, or if I'm still just riding on that high of, I just finished it. You know what I mean? And it lived with me for so long in my bed, like nightly companion. Okay, so 19 would be Inferno by Dan Brown. And I could have chosen a lot of different Dan Browns. Yes, I get tired of the hero of the story, who is always the hero, and that's kind of irritating. But I love the twists and turns, and he's always making me think about certain things. And they're fun, fast-paced. Yeah, you think about things. So I really enjoy Dan Brown. Number 18, this is a whole series, Into the Wilderness by Sarah Donati. And this is, like, I've talked about this book many times. It has romance. It has all kinds of good stuff in here. I would say it's a historical fiction, but it does have a strong love in here. What? I don't know if you can hear him, but my Rolo is a talker. Okay, next. The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom. I have easily read this a dozen times. It's such a fast, easy book. I mean, you fly through it. I love each person. I love how it comes, full circle, how the story begins at the end and ends in a beautiful, it's beautiful. Next is The Signature of All Things by Elizabeth Gilbert. I love this book. I've talked about this book so many different times. If you read Eat, Pray, Love and you didn't like it, I would, especially if you like historical fiction and strong female characters, I would definitely give this book a try. Next, I have not read this since like 2005. It's been a long time ago, but the books I chose today are books that when I pick them up or when I see them, I get a feeling. I don't know how to explain that, but this is one that I get that feeling. This is like 10 stories of different relationships that people have with animals. And I think it says that living with animals as teachers and healers. Beautiful. All My Relations by Susan Chernak McElroy. Next is a memoir. Well, it is a memoir, but it says a mostly true memoir. And it's Let's Pretend This Never Happened by Jenny Lawson. And I've read her other two books. One of them is like a coloring work type book, I guess. But her other book is called Furiously Happy. And the reason why I chose this one, because they're both fantastic, is that this one is about her childhood, and it's a little less serious when it comes to the mental health, anxiety, depression than Furiously Happy. But both are fantastic reads. So next is What Looks Like Crazy on an Ordinary Day by Pearl Cleage. So this book is about a woman who, I don't know if I should ruin it for you. You know within the first paragraph that she has HIV. She's been diagnosed with HIV. And she got it from sleeping with a man. There was no drug use or anything like that. And she says it in the first paragraph, you know. And so her whole life changes because now she has this illness. She has this stigma, you know, like a leper. You know, nobody wants to touch you. Nobody wants a relationship with you. And like you know. Anyway, and this is about her learning to let people in and let people love her and to create a new life with what she's living with. Beautiful. Okay, next. This is a whole series. Well, I didn't read Calm of Fire yet, which is the last one. But this is the prequel to the Kingbridge series. And I just read this. So it's not just this book. It's this one, The Evening and the Morning, The Pillars of the Earth, and World Without End. And I bet when I read Column of Fire, it's going to be, I'm going to love it too. So anyway, yeah, this is, and the thing is I do think it's important to read them in order, but I don't think it's not really necessary. But if you're going to get they're really playing. If you're going to get the full story, I really would read them in order. And I don't think reading the prequel ruined it. It didn't ruin anything for me. But I haven't read Calm of Fire yet. So anyway, next. I mean, could I have this without Game of Thrones or A Song of Fire and Ice? So this is A Feast for Crows. And I chose this one because one of my favorite characters is a wildling. So, but I mean, honestly, my favorite character in the first book was Ned. And, you know, so my characters change. And I love Tyrion. And, yeah, there's so many. And every single book, I've been waiting. George R. R. Martin, I've been waiting and waiting. I mean, when is it going to happen? And as soon as I hear it's coming out, I'm going to reread them. Now, I have reread the first 3 a couple times because I kept thinking, oh, he's going to come out with the next one. And he hasn't. But that's okay. As long as when it does come out, it was worth the wait. So this was on everybody's top 20, I believe. And then there were None by Agatha Christie. And the reason why this is on my top 20 is I do love Agatha Christie. But this book I read when I was a teenager, and it changed the way I thought about it. Like opened up like, oh, I don't know how to explain that. And Agatha Christie does that where sometimes I mean, she makes you think about things. And also not knowing, it was fantastic. So I have a Stephen King on here, and it was hard because I love On Writing. I absolutely love that book. And also I love Needful Things. Well, I love all of them. The Dead Zone is on the top. There's just so many. And then his big ones, you know, like The Stand. But I just chose one, Lisey's Story. And this is about a woman whose husband dies and her being a widow, and he was a writer, and his number one fan comes along. Um, Anyway, the next one is Things My Son Needs to Know About the World by Frederick Backman. I love the only book I haven't read of his is my grandmother told me to tell you she's sorry. And that's because my grandmother was coming to the end of her life and I couldn't do it. So that's the only one I still need to read because I have read all of everything that he's put out. This one is actually like a memoir type. And it's, oh my gosh, it's so funny. I wish I had, you know, like marked something to read to you guys, but it's got cute little things here. And yeah, he talks about why didn't I Google it? Like back in the olden days, back when I was a kid, my parents was like, if they didn't know something and they asked somebody and they didn't know, it was kind of like, well, you just wing it. And now it's like, you have no excuse. You should have Googled it. And he says in here, he says, I've heard this many times with us, you know, people who are older, that we did not grow up with cell phones or computers. I remember maybe it was, I don't know if it was 6th grade. I can't remember when computers came into the school. But where he said, imagine a day where you were watching something and you were thinking, who is that actor who played in this movie? And you call your friend to ask him, and he doesn't answer because he's not home. And he's busy out doing something else. And it's so funny because everybody is so easy accessible, or however you want to say it, where 24/7 you can get a hold of somebody usually. I don't have a smartphone yet, but I do have an iPad now, and it's easy to get addicted to, you know, YouTube, and now I'm on Instagram because I'm doing a buddy read this month, and so and that's fun too. Okay, next on the list is another Ken Follett. I know I didn't want to do that with authors, but I couldn't help it because this is just absolutely fantastic. This is the Century trilogy, and this is book 1. And as you can see, they're huge books, but historical fiction, wonderful. Next, The Grapes of Wrath. This was my top 3. But I feel like I've read it twice. I think I read it, and then I think I listened to it on audio. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. I love the story. I love the writing. And it's funny because I don't know if he's dropped down a couple of notches because I've read other things of his that I didn't enjoy as much or didn't really enjoy at all, like The Pearl and Tortilla Flat. I just didn't care for either one of those. East of Eden was good, but I didn't love it. But this book, absolutely love. Okay. Drawing in the Dust by Zoe Klein. I've talked about this book. I've talked about this book a lot. It's about an archaeologist, and I believe Zoe Klein is a rabbi, and this is her debut novel. And as far as I know, last time I looked, she doesn't have any other novels out. So this may be a strange one to have on my top favorite 20 books. Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by Caitlin Doughty. But this month, 5 years ago, my dad passed away. And he donated his body to science, and then he was cremated. So this book came out right after that, pretty much, and it really helped me because it's funny, informative, seeing things in a different way. It was just wonderful. A book I go to all the time, and I was lucky enough to meet him and hear him speak, and that's Living the Quaker Way by Philip Gulley. And Philip Gulley is a Quaker minister, but this is a book that, yeah, I go to again and again and again because I love it. And that's the thing, you're always working on something. Okay, book number 2 This may really surprise you guys. Everything Dogs Expect You to Know by Karen Bush. And you can see this book has been like, I would carry it everywhere with me. It looks so old and beaten and battered. Anyway, I love this book. Up until 5 years ago, I was a dog person. My whole life I had dogs. And then in 2017, my last dog, Otep, passed away. And there had been some kittens that had been abandoned that were on their deathbed. The vet didn't think they were going to make it, and they were Randall and Roland, my two babies. Well, Roland has passed. But anyway, and I don't know what happened, but cats happen. They're like potato chips, you just can't have one. But this book, if you are a dog lover, this book has everything you need to know. There's recipes. They talk about the president's dogs, why your dog rolls in stinky stuff. Different dogs about that had saved the day. It talks about the dogs on the Titanic. Why do dogs pant? And then there's these little a dog haiku. There's poetry. Yeah. It talks about in 2005, the Queen famously rejected the offer of a new Jaguar car because she was concerned that there wouldn't be enough room for all her corgis. So it's like just little things all over here that are just, I love it. Absolutely love it. So if you're a dog lover, okay, here's a quote. Sir Walter Scott said, "The misery of keeping a dog is his dying so soon." And every time I read that, I want to cry. But this book, as you can see, there's dog ears. Almost every page is written on or circled Everything Dogs Expect You to Know by Karen Bush. Number 2. Okay, my ultimate favorite book I read last year. So surprise, surprise. And I bet some of you who watch my videos know what it is. I know this much is true, and I think I've been saying it wrong this whole time. I think I've been saying this much I know is true. But anyway, I Know This Much Is True by Wally Lamb. Absolutely love this. It's a book about family relationships. It's about twin boys, and one of them has a mental illness and how to deal with that. And I have not watched the show, even though I like the actor. Is it Mark Gruffalo? I think. I'm not for sure. I need to watch it, but I'm a little nervous. How's it going to be as good as this book? And this book, it was one that took me, I don't remember how long. It took me a couple months, but it was on purpose. Like I am the type that if I'm loving something, I want it to stay with me. I don't want to know it all right away. Cat hair is flying everywhere. Anyway, number 1 all-time favorite book, I Know This Much Is True by Wally Lamb. And I'm looking forward to reading another Wally Lamb on my TBR shelf. So anyway, thank you so much, Scott and Becky, for doing this. I hope everybody does this because I love hearing about people's favorite books. So please leave any comments down below that you have, and I hope everybody had a great weekend. And thanks so much for watching. Bye.